In this video, we are going to show you how to fit our quick release ARB awning system. So if you want to grab the front, so we've undone the lock bolt and it will give you the ability to lift the awning off quickly on a quick mount, and you just leave these mounted brackets behind, and you've got these that stay on your awning in your garage, so you can just come out and fit it. Right, let's get started. In this video, we are going to show you how to fit an ARB, and this could apply to other awnings too. We'll discuss that in the video. An ARB awning onto the Expedition roof rack on your Land Rover Defender. So we have designed a set of brackets, haven't we, Zach? Now we've tried, right, what is our spec? So people wrote to us and said, Simon, I want an awning on the side, but I don't want it to go any higher than the car. The car's high enough already, garages. There's several reasons you don't want it higher. One is you want to get in garages and multi-stories and ferries and trains, and the roof rack may well be near the limit to what you can get, even when you lower the suspension. Secondly, you may want to use a roof tent or put other luggage on your thing. And also it looks a bit ugly as well. Some of those brackets were horrible, weren't they, Destiny? Where they put big L plates. So we have seen some brackets where they use the slot in the roof cross rails. You can use like a T-slot, aluminium, and then they have some big brackets coming up. But we don't always trust too much that aluminium. So we have designed a set of brackets that come out as flush as we can to the roof rack, and then come down here to give you a place to mount the awning. It doesn't stick out from the car, it doesn't stick up. So that was our plan. We also wanted quick release. So a lot of people want to take their awning off and then drive the car in the week and put it back on at the weekend or half term when you go away. So the brackets we've designed will remain on, but you can quickly remove your awning, put it in the garage. And actually, we ought to mention the brackets form a handy way of mounting it in your garage, don't they? We ought to mention that. Right, so first thing to do is to put your suspension down. We've done that already. Right, let's have a look at the kit. So the kit basically is 3 brackets. Now these brackets come with our roof clamp system. So this follows the contour exactly. That's a spacer. And that is going to go over onto the roof like so. And then we've got these clamps that are contoured. If you get them the right way, make sure you get them the right way round, so it forms that sort of aerofoil. And then there's a stainless steel plate that goes on the bottom, and then there's a nylock nut. We're not using nylocks in this video for speed, so we can do it quickly in the video. Okay, and that is going to spin on, and you have 2 of those, and that will clamp it on. Now these brackets, one thing, the couple of problems we got on the roof rack, this is not straight. This has got a nice curve, which means the awning is straight. So some brackets are going to have to come out further. The central bracket wants to sit back pretty tight. So we are going to put those clamps on. We'll show you how to do the first one, but you need to leave them loose enough so that you can slide them so that they all align. Right, let's have a go. So let's grab, right, let's assemble one. You come around this side, we'll have a whoop, whoop. Right, so you put the coach bolt up through here, and then you put the clamp. Now you've got to get it the same way round as these ones here. So with the bracket that way, the groove at the bottom there is that way round. Okay, right. And then what we've got is we've got these anti-loss washers that you can put over here. Right, and that'll just mean you don't need 8 hands as you're assembling it. Right. Okay, put that one through. Make sure the head goes flush. So these clamps, I ought to point out, so when this is on the car, this is going to be the top mount, so, or the upper mount. So the ones we're putting on are marked with upper, abbreviated there. So make sure you get the upper clamps on the upper. Right, we rattle through that. Push, push, push. Push, push, push. Right, these plates are made from steel, aren't they, Zach? but they've got what's called an E-coat on them, which is a electronic high performance anti-corrosion coating. So they, is that? That's the trick, is it? Yeah. Which way up did you use it? That way up. Yeah. Oh, look at that. You're watching me struggle there, Zach. Like Pro Touch anti-loss washer. Yeah, put those on. Look at that. A little pusher honorary. Right then. So that's now ready to go. Right, Zach, you can pass me up the lower straps. Which one's going to be easier to film? You grab yourself a chair there, Destiny. Right then. Right, so you want to mount this on the, so the front one goes on the front rail, the rear one goes on the rearmost rail, and then the middle one goes on whichever one you deem to be more central. So you can see, and what we're going to need to do is slide it. So you can see it's got a little bit of motion so that we can get them all lined up. Right, make sure you get this the correct way round, which is, so the bigger dish is at the front and it sort of aerofoil follows. Right, so we need that. Then I need a nut. Oh, you'd have to get yourself, but this is a two-man job, two-person job at least, isn't it? Don't want to go saying it's a man's job, do we, Destiny? No. No. Right, there we go. Right, so I've done one, so you should, that's it. He's not playing ball. It's that anti-loss washer's fighting me. That's it, I got him. Right, so we'll put the other clamp plate on and come back and join you. In fact, we'll fit all three. So when we come back, we'll have all three. But the key thing is, there's what we call the ring of steel. So you've got the steel plate across the top, the steel bolt going down, and the steel plate across the bottom. So there's no way there's a whole ring of steel clamping round. The 3D printed things are just spacers to spread and clamp. So we'll get those three going, and then we'll come back and get the awning out and start looking at the bit that fits to the awning. Right, one thing we were worried about is that all the weight of the awning is going to go on the front here, and it's cantilevering from the mount that's here. So we've designed these little spacers that are going to clamp on and just act as a little load carrier that's going to sit under here. Now these clamp on like so. They snap on beautifully, don't they? Well done, Zach. And then what we'll do is we'll just slide those under. They should just be able to just, now you could fit these on before, but they do just slide along just so they're flush. And then what happens is when we put the load on, this part of it will rest on. It's clamped at the back, and that will just take the load and spread that. So there's enough pieces in the kit to do two spacers, one on the front edge, rear edge, one on the front edge of each of the brackets. But it still allows it to slide and it'll take the load. So let's get those spacers in. Zach's getting on with that back one. How's that looking, Zach? All good. Yeah, right. So let's get those all three on. Right, so that all finished. You see, they all slide out now. So we got those. And, oh gosh, you've done yours tight, Destiny. You must be stronger than me. Oh, he does slide still. Notice we've got the spacer blocks in. You can see those there, hopefully, on the camera. On the front one, I forgot to mention, you will only get one spacer block because at the front, where it curves round here, you're not going to get the spacer in here because you haven't got the consistent cross section. Right, so we have got 5 blocks. Now, let's jump down here. Woo. Right, here is the ARB awning. Now, we did weigh it. What did it weigh? We wrote it on the table. So we were 17 kilograms. So it's quite a chunk of weight. So what do you get in an ARB awning? And how does it mount to our brackets? And how does it mount to the car? So that is the ARB awning. You obviously see which way up it goes. They put a sticker on it. And you've got these little openy, elasticy bits. Now it mounts on the back face here. So let me put it here. And what you'll notice is this is an aluminium extrusion, and it's got what we call T-slot fittings in it. So if we could look from the end, which we can't because it's got a, you would see a sort of upside down T. And what they've given you is a couple of, in fact they're only at this end, aren't they? Yeah. So they give you one entry point and they give you 6 M6 bolts, and you can put the heads of the bolts in there and slide them merrily up and down the rail. Q M6 bolt Zach. Thank you. So you can see a standard, they don't even give you square head ones, and they go in there and they just fit in, look, and then you can, well that was a, they can just, there you go, they slide along, wee, wee. Now the ones they give you are M6 by 20, which are actually just a bit too long and they catch on our brackets. So we are going to provide people with 12 M6 by 15. Now, ARB state in their manual that you must use no less than 4 bolts to mount it. But I think having 4 of these with 17 kilograms on it, I reckon that's still a lot. So we've gone overboard with our kit and we've used like 3 times the minimum or double. They recommend 6. So we've gone to 12, which is only going to be a benefit. So what we've now got to do is slide some bolts in and fix our brackets on. So, right, let me grab the brackets. Right, so we need to slide the bolts in and then we are going to fit our little system, which consists of an elephant head, a little spacer, and it's going to go like that as a little sandwich with the white bit in the middle. And then we're going to bolt it face down onto here like so, and I'll show you how that works because it's easier to show it before. So what you can see, what you'll end up with is a sort of sandwich. This back plate will be the awning, and how it's going to do is you're going to come up to the awning, okay, woo, and it's going to slot in easily other way round. Now, there we go. Now it's tight. You see that, you get the idea, but it's tight because we haven't got that extra white spacer in there. So that's exactly the same thickness. But what that's going to do when we put the spacer in, it's going to slot in there and that will slide all the way down, and then you'll put the fixing bolt in at the bottom, and then when you're finished with it, you'll lift it out. I'm going to redo this. Right, so there we go. We now have a white spacer in, and this is how it's going to... Although that was a bit of a muck up on my part, it does show you why we've put the white spacer in there. And you can see when you get it to the bottom, we're going to put a bolt. You can put a lock bolt in here or a padlock or a security bolt or something. But then when you've finished camping and you come back home again, you'll just lift this out and it'll all be done. Right, let's get and bolt these brackets onto the awning. So the first thing we need to do is, Zach, right, we need to slide the bolts. Did I have some bolts? Right, so we get 2 bolts in the top, bearing in mind this elastic bit is the bottom. So 2 of those, and we've got to take them all the way up to the far end first. 1 in here. He's tight, this middle strap, this bottom one, I think. It's got a burr on it or something. There we go. Right, so we've got to run these. It's somewhat... I've got to run them all the way down. Let's take this out the box. Take it all the way down. Whoosh. Right, where's that other one gone? There. Now, I've actually marked where we had them on the car because when we trial fitted it. Okay, so we've got those 2. Right. So this has got to go on the right order. First, you put the elephant's trunk on. Now, this is the point to say, if you haven't got an ARB awning, this is the bit that is made for the ARB. So if you've got a different type of awning, we can make these brackets, these 3 bits different, with the different bolt holes to line up. So if you've got a front runner or some other awning, let us know, send us some side dimensions, we'll send you a test piece and we'll be able to make brackets for other awnings too. All right, then put that one on, and then put, let me get this, yeah. Then put that one on. Oh, have I not got that on? Right. There it goes. It all line up. Alright, why am I fighting it? Right. Right, then we'll get the nuts on there. That's on there. We'll put the nuts on here now, and then we'll get the other two on. Right, we've got them on, so I just wanted to demonstrate. You don't want to do the nuts up tight. You still want to be able to slide that backwards and forwards. So we've got 1, 2, 3. And what we're going to do is lift it onto the car. Now, you probably need at least 2 people, if not 3 people for this stage. Should we have a go at doing it, Zach? Right, let's have a go. Right, so if we pick this up, turn it round. Right. Now we've got to align 2 things here. We've got to align the brackets on the awning left to right, and we've also got to move these in and out. Now, let's have a go how we go, Zach. How are we going to do this? So this is only the first time you do the install. You'll have this nightmare. So how are you doing, Zach?
I'm going in.
Right, I need to just pull mine out. How's the middle one?
Right in there.
Right. So now we've got it on. We're now in a position where we can start to tighten a few things up. So we can just reach over the top. If you give me the camera, I'll show people while you find me the 10mm spanner. If you reach over the top here, this opening in the top allows you to get onto the little M10 nuts, and you can tighten. As long as you got one of them tight, it's not going to move. But ideally get the 2 of them tight. Okay, we'll do that for each one. We'll also tighten up the nuts on the underside of these brackets, because then that will fix them in this orientation. And then we'll take it off again. So let's get those tight. Obviously with our system, where it's in that extrusion, you can actually move this further back. So we've just got it roughly parallel with the back face of the car. You could move it back. We've got slightly more overhang at the front. So if we can just have a look at the overhang there, Zach. So the bracket is here. So I think we've got slightly more overhang at the front than the back. Right, when we've got those, they're tight now, are they, Zach? Right, let's lift that off now. All good? So now what we can do, we can put this on the ground and we can tighten the other, because we've tightened these top 2 we could access, but we couldn't access these. We'll tighten those, tighten all of those. We've just tightened the back ones for now. Tighten all of that, and then we'll come and do the final demo of what you would do. This is really the setting up. We'll then do the on and off demo. Right, that's all tight. The brackets on the car are all tight. So this should be how you install it. There you go. All right, then mind your fingers. Well, how are you looking, Zach?
I'm in.
Make sure you're in. I'm in.
Yeah.
All right, wiggle it down a bit, Zach. There you go, that's it. Now, what we haven't discussed is this central fixing here. So let me just check what bolt size that is. And we'll supply 1 bolt with the kit. Perhaps we'll put a torque security bolt. Let me just grab one. Right, so we've got an M8 bolt and a nylock nut we're going to put through here just to lock this in place. Now you could put as many as you like on here, or whatever security measure you like. But I think most thieves will be pretty confused by the whole bracket system, don't you reckon, Zach? They're not normally the sharpest. They're innovative. Right. Okay, let me tighten that up. So there we go, that's in. We'll probably provide 2 of those in the kit, 1 front and 1 back, and then that'll leave you free if you want to put a lock, although it might rattle on your roof, or a cable tie or some other device there, just to lock that onto your car. Obviously it could all be unbolted from this side, so it's just a way of giving you that quick release. If you were worried about that, you could put shear nuts. I'll put a picture of a shear nut on the screen now, where you tighten it and it snaps the hex off. So that would lock those brackets on the car. But there we go. That is our quick release ARB awning mounting system. If you want us to develop it. So this is a 2.5 meter long awning. That's probably about as long as you're going to get on the Defender 110. We will do a kit with only 2 sets of brackets for those of you with a 90, so you can have a shorter awning and you only need 2 brackets. It's only really with the long ones. Right, bonus feature. Right, part of when we designed this, we were trying to keep the cost down. So what we did, we designed this bracket, but then we realized we could cut the other 2 brackets we needed out of the scrap. So if you actually look at this, the bits we've taken out there are designed out of the waste of the material. So how we can keep costs down and reduce the impact of our accessories. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. Let us know what you think. Any improvement ideas, any suggestions, put them in the comments below. Good luck. Bonus feature number 2. You'll notice that we've designed these brackets with a slot and a hole that we haven't used. And this was that if you had a smaller awning with only 2 tracks in it, and we've got one, you could just do that, put the bolts through, get round the back here and tighten the nuts up without the quick release feature, which some people will be happy with. So we will put on the listing the dimension between these 2, and you may want to just buy this bracket. I think we've got a simple awning over here. There you go. So this one's just got the 2, and you slot the screws into that one. That's only got the 2 rails, and you could mount 2, 4, 6 mount points onto that one, but you wouldn't have the quick release. But for some people, that would be fine.